it's Glenn McQueenie, and thanks for joining me for another podcast called the 25 Minute Success Podcast Series. And today I'm pretty stoked to have a good friend of mine, Ian Szabo, join us. Ian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Glenn.
Great. Well, I've just got a lot of respect and admiration for what you've done because I think you've really created a very, really just a spectacular niche that, and I think by definition, a niche isn't a commodity, and you've just struck this one niche in the marketplace that's enabled you to probably charge more commission than other agents do and really eliminate all of your competition. So just as we get started here, let me just give some background on Ian. Ian Szabo is with Keller Williams Energy. He works out of the Whitby office, and he's also the author of a really great book that I would highly recommend everyone get out or give copies to their clients. And the book's called From Renos to Riches, the Canadian Real Estate Investor's Guide to Practical and Profitable Renovations. And it's a great book. I've read it. I actually am pretty lucky because I even have a signed copy from Ian because he's a really big deal.
No, man, no.
So tell me, what was the background just in you? I know you were on TV actually quite a bit, doing a lot of those Reno shows, doing your book, and then you really moved into this one niche. So for our listeners, can you just kind of give us a little background of where you were and where you are today?
Sure, yeah. I started out doing some basic renovations, mostly painting, and then we kind of got picked up at a trade show for HGTV. They hired us to do some on-air and off-air work, and it just kind of spiraled into this big, 10 different shows and a whole bunch of episodes. And I realized very quickly as a general contractor and doing the TV stuff that I was working really hard and really not making the money I thought I should be making. So I started flipping houses. And then when I started flipping houses, I leaned on some of the realtors to help me in the beginning, and they were saying, do black lampshades and, put this light there and this light there. And I'm thinking, as a renovator, this kind of doesn't make sense, and I don't understand. And to be honest, the first 5 flips that I did, I failed at. I almost went bankrupt, to be honest with you. And you can only go back to your wife and tell her so many times we can't pay our mortgage. So I really dug down deep and started analyzing what the business was about and how I could flip houses for profit. And I used to be a chef, so I actually applied all of the organizational models as a chef, and I applied it to renovations, which has never really been done before, because I couldn't understand. As a chef, I'm dealing with raw products that go rotten, and contractors are dealing with stuff that doesn't go rotten, and I didn't realize how they couldn't get stuff done on time. And then it spiraled into me doing 1 flip a year, 2 flips a year, 10 flips a year, 14, 15 flips a year. And then my clients as a general contractor started investing funds into me to do more flips. And then I decided to get my real estate license.
Wow. And then once you got into real estate, like instead of kind of just being the generalist agent that, many of the agents enter this business, you really said, you kind of brought your natural strengths already and your whole, find, fix, flip mentality and experience. And I think you created a program, I think it was called Your Money, My Flip. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, it came about of pain, to be honest with you. I kept going to houses and people were like, well, I can't afford to do this renovation. And I said, if you only did this, you'd get an extra 50 grand. If you did that, you'd get an extra 100 grand. And they're like, well, I don't know how to do that. And I don't have the money to do that. And so I started lending funds through third-party renovations. And I would basically design their whole flip for them. Say, okay, we're going to paint this color for this room and this floor for that. And before I knew it, I was getting calls from my ideal client saying, I want the same thing you did for my friend down the street because they made an extra 100 grand or they made an extra 50 grand. And it was really interesting because it's almost like I scratched an itch that I had for so long. I wanted, back in the day when I was flipping, I wanted my realtor to say, Ian, this is exactly what you need to do to make the most amount of money. And I kind of created that whole system out of pain. and then I started offering it to my clients, and it just, to be honest, I started out as the cliche realtor, with the nice suits and the fancy shoes. And to be quite honest, that's just not me. I'm more of a jean and plaid shirt and Adidas kind of guy. So I I went down the normal route of being a realtor, and then I realized that's not me, and I don't like that guy. I need to be in the rental guy or the flip guy. And once I accepted the fact that I wasn't the flashy, fancy realtor guy with this expensive sports car, I went back to my truck and started doing what was more in line with me and what I believe in. That's when the doors opened up and people started coming to me.
It's always amazing. I find with realtors who maybe they'll go to a training course and they'll say, well, you've got to be like, you got to cold call prospect 3 hours a day, and that's the only way you'll get successful. Or you go to another class and they're like, no, you got to do this, and then they go and try this. And I find so many of them get frustrated because they're trying to be somebody else. And if they could only realize that if they just be yourself, everyone else is already taken, and do what you love to do with clients that you love to do it with, that you're going to be a lot happier and the marketplace opens up for you. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's almost like the universe says, okay, this guy's going to get what he deserves now. It's investing in, it's taking that leap of faith and just jumping out and saying, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I'm not here to impress anyone or try to convince you to work with me. This is what I do, and this is what I do very well. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, I'm moving on to the next one. So it kind of goes against the old school realtor mentality. Take all the listings you can and be the man and ego and do as much as you can. And I'm the exact opposite. If you fit this small criteria, I will blow your socks off. If you don't, I can't really help you because I'm going to let you down, and I'm going to let myself down, which is more important.
That's amazing. So tell me, what was the next evolution as you started focusing more on, I remember you told me a story once about how there was two semis where and I think you had sold one for a high price and the other, just tell me that whole story.
Sure.
Or tell the audience that story because it's such a great one.
Absolutely. I met someone, I do some running, and I met someone at the running room, and he said he wanted to list his house for sale, and he called me a year later. And he had a couple realtors in, and they were saying, we want to, do hardwood floors, and we want to do this, and we want to do that. And he called me, and I came in, and I said, this is exactly what I would do, this type of flooring, this paint color, move this around, my designer's going to do this, this, and this, and I think you'll get $60,000 more than you're expecting. And the funny thing was, I knew that the manager of the running store, he actually went to my brokerage because he thought it was full of crap. And he says, this guy actually registered at your brokerage because I know him and I trust him, but it just sounds way too good to be true. They're like, no, he works here. This is his office. So he called me back, and he did the best thing he possibly could do. He said, here's the keys to my house. You said our budget's $12,000. I said, yep. He said, okay, go for it. And we did it. And the average sale prices in Bowmanville, this was a couple of years ago, but the average price is around $300,000. They got $362,000, and then he was delighted. They didn't have to do any work, didn't have to clean up, didn't have to make any decisions. Everything was just done. I said, just listen to us. We're going to tell you what to do. And he's like, it was awesome. And then it was funny because the next door neighbor was this big truck driver guy, scary dude with some big dogs, Rottweilers and stuff. And he was going to list his house. So I'm banging on his door saying, hey, give me a chance. He wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't answer the door. He was like, yeah, whatever, dude, get out of here, right? So he lists his house for sale 2 weeks later with a different realtor. They listed it for, I think it was $295. They got one offer at $305. They freaked out. They fired the agent. They called me. I went in and I said, here's the deal. You got to listen to what I'm saying. This is what we're going to do. He's like, I don't trust you realtors. This damn taupe, I don't want to see everything as taupe, and I hate it. He had red colors and hockey pictures and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't like taupe either, but look, that's what people want. Let's just give them what they want. She's like, I'm telling you, and he's looking right at me. I'm telling you, if you screw this up, I'm coming after you. You're going to get this done. You're going to be happy. So we spent $6,000. We did all the work. We listed it, and we sold it, I think, for $375. So I think they made $65,000 more 2 weeks later. And he did this good promo video of swearing at me and all kinds of stuff. But it goes back to what you believe in, Glenn. And it's go all in on your skills, like on your genius, and don't worry about the rest of the stuff. And I think once I finally agreed that, or I trusted the fact that this is my path, and I went all in on it, it's surreal on how it kind of unfolds.
It's truly incredible. And I think what I'd love for you to share too is you don't do this at the average commission. You actually make more commission than any other realtor because this is your value proposition. You're making them more money, and you expect to get paid more money too, right?
Absolutely. Like, 7, 8, 9% commission is not unheard of. There's also bonus structures I've set up through my agreements on. I've had people that say, "Yeah, I don't believe you. I think you're full of crap. You're not going to get over 500,000." I said, "Okay, well, we split the difference with me." And then the agreements kind of change, right? They're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. I'm willing to jump in." And I think people are kind of sick of, if you interview 100 realtors or 100 consumers, I should say, 80% of them are going to say realtors don't do enough, and they get way too much money, and they're not doing enough. So I kind of do the opposite. I'm willing to put my own money in to get that ultimate achievement, and it goes a long way. I think people appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think your confidence comes too for me, and is like, not only are you the expert at doing this because you've done so many flips before, you know exactly what the consumer needs, what is hot in the market, what people are looking for. You almost, what I love about you is you can almost do the minimum effective dose on a house in order to get the maximum effective money and the biggest profit for the seller. And to me, it's just a winning formula, and I think that's where a lot of your confidence comes from.
It does. I know it so well. And before, I used to bite my tongue and say, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to say that. I may look like an idiot, or they might think that, they don't have the money to do it." And now I just say it the way it is. Like, your house is great, but you need to do this, this, and this. And you only get the confidence unless you put the hours in, and you've fallen on your face, and you scraped your knuckles, and you've lost money, and you screwed up renovations. And that's the only way that you're going to really learn, like, wing it. Like, I learned how to renovate in my basement. I was a chef at the time, and I used to work after 12-hour shifts. I'd figure out how to renovate, and that's kind of how I learned how to do everything.
Mm. And I love your point there when you say that, a lot of the consumers think that we don't do enough and that they pay us too much money. And I think a lot of realtors lose sight of that a lot of their consumers are working all year for maybe 40, 50, 60, 70, 30, 100, a family income of maybe 80 or 100,000. And we waltz into their life and waltz out in a week, and we sell their house for 400,000, and they're stuck with a $20,000 commission. And that's to them a quarter of their annual income that they've had to give you in that 1 week. And I think part of the reason I did the book, the McQueenie Method, and love what you do is the only way in this with everyone. I mean, basically, every time, every party I'm at, someone's getting their real estate license, or someone just told me they got their real estate license. It's not like they need more of us. They probably need less of us. But what the consumer is really begging for, I think, is more value. And I think we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot as an industry if we don't start adding way more value up front to justify the commissions that we are being paid.
No, I agree 100%, and that's the reason I actually got into business, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm paying all this money for commission when I was doing flips back in the day, and it just didn't make sense. And it kind of evolved into this different beast where I'll have investment clients that say, "I want to purchase a rental property." I'm like, "Do you know how to do the renovation?" "Well, no, I'm just going to hire someone." So it's such a big thing. Like, renovations are such an important key in what we do. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars that can go either way. And I just seen this niche in the middle where if you had someone that was kind of controlling the whole thing from the top down, this is what the market will allow, this is what you need to do. And it was really cool. And actually, it's not even about the money for me. Like, technically, I don't need to be a realtor. I choose to be one. And the reason I choose to be one is it gives me more options to help the underdog. It gives me more options to help the people. I wrote Renos to Riches to help people. I wrote Fix and Flip with Mark Loeffler to help people learn how to do it. And getting my license, which a lot of people in the industry thought it was a ridiculous move, you're going back. It gave me access to more face-to-face with people that actually need the knowledge. You know what I mean? If you're an investor, I used to charge $15,000 for a course, and they would come out and learn. Great, the investor would get richer. But what about the homeowner that can't afford the $15,000 to pay? What if I gave them all that information and we worked out a deal together, and I gave them everything I knew, and I worked hand in hand with them, and they could make the most amount of money? The most remarkable thing for me was the family with the semi with the truck driver. They moved to, I think, Nova Scotia. And they said that extra $60,000 is going to put their daughter through college. She can take dance now. They can go to Disney. They can buy the snowmobiles and the toys that they wanted to buy. And that big biker dude that was 200 something pounds that I was scared of was like almost in tears and hugging me and thanking me. Like, that's the biggest, giving somebody that gift is more important to me and my heart than the money is, to be honest.
I love what you just said there, and it's so true, because it's you're the difference maker in their lives, Ian. Like, you're the one who's basically saying, I'll keep you safe through this. You're not going to get ripped off with the bad contractors. I'll tell you exactly what you do. No, you don't need to spend that much money. I'm committed to making you as much money as possible so that you can live the life that you really want. And I love the fact that, you basically paid for someone's daughter's university education who might not have been able to go there if they were still staying here and living in their house in Bowmanville or even anywhere in the Greater Toronto area, because it's just so expensive, right, to live.
And I think people see that, and that's the difference. I think that's when your heart's in it and you really believe it and you mean it, people can feel it and they see it, and there's no doubt that you're on the right path.
And I'll guarantee you that if someone said to them, "Oh, all realtors are overpaid, they don't do much for their money," what do you think they're going to say?
They tell me, actually, it's funny because they say, oh, call Ian, because it's not even really a competition anymore, because when you go in there and you're offering all these things, like the first guy, Al, he's like, I don't believe this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you do all this stuff? You're really separating yourself, and you're really putting yourself in a different category and saying, well, how can I not go with him?
Yeah. Like, it's funny, those niches, how kind of the riches really just exist there. It's crazy. Tell me, or if you could tell the listeners just
Sure.
How you lead generate. So when you actually usually get referred to somebody, and then you start work. So tell me about that process. Like, once you get the referral, you get the property listed, the commitment to do it. What's your next step?
So if I can just go back a bit, do you mind? Lead gen is a little bit different. I probably shouldn't be saying this, so I'm going to say it anyways. But my lead generation, I realized quickly that sending out flyers, people just throw that stuff in the garbage. And quite honestly, I'm good at door knocking, but a lot of people don't want to see realtors. There's really no value add. It's like knocking on your door. Hey, you want to sell? This is what your house sold for? And I agree, it works, but it's just not my style. So what I started doing is I have dump trailers for my construction business. And on the side of the dump trailers, it says, does your realtor haul your garbage away for free? Because the first thing that happens when you go to list your house, number one, is how much is my house worth? How much is it worth? These are the questions from the homeowner. What is my house worth with renovations? And how do I get rid of all this crap that's in my garage and my wife's nagging me about? So what I do is I drop off the dumpsters. I drive the dumpsters around, have a crew, and say, this neighborhood's been good to us. You guys got any garbage you want to get rid of? We got free dumpsters today. Here's a free contest on how to get a free dumpster. Text us and we'll send you a free dumpster for the week. Because it's going back to the value add. I'm giving you something, free garbage removal. Why would you want to give me free garbage removal? Well, you need to get rid of your garbage before you sell your house. And it gives me an opportunity to actually talk to the homeowner face to face while I'm carrying their garbage out of the house. And and it's like, well, what do you mean you're a realtor? Why are you carrying people's garbage around? Well, the first thing you need to get rid of is all that shit you have in your house that you don't want. So why don't I give you a free dumpster? And it works because I'm telling you, people run down the street to throw their garbage in there. I don't know why, but it's like I'm giving away free. And we have, coffees, Tim Hortons, and donuts we give away to the kids and stuff. And it's like, well, why would you do this? Well, I said, I can spend $1,000 a month and send you flyers you're going to throw in the recycling bin, or I can spend $1,000 a month and get rid of all the crap your wife's been nagging you about. How does that sound? They're like, yeah, please come back. And it gives me an opportunity to have a conversation instead of saying, hey, I'm your local realtor. Would you like to sell? And they're like, no, get out of here, right? So the first step is I try to approach them from a human giving respect. And then once I get in with the referral, it's pretty easy. I go in, I say, this is what I think you need to do. I think this is your rough budget. If you're interested in working with me, let's sign up an agreement, and I'll have my designer come in and we'll do a full-fledged plan. And we'll give you a couple options to help you.
I love it. It's so genius, Ian, what you're doing, because you've actually you've created this, first of all, a very unique process, because I'll guarantee you the people listening right now are not going to be renting dumpsters for free and dropping them on the street, right? Because they're just like, that's crazy. But so you created that. Secondly, you did this thing which makes you such a great realtor and asset to our real estate community is you went first and added value, and you came from contribution to those clients before you ever expected them to do anything for you. And then the third visual I have is an entire neighborhood walking down the street with their garbage and their junk, throwing it in, and you standing there with coffees and them all going, thank you, Ian, thank you. That's so awesome.
It's different than slamming the door saying, realtor, beat it, right? It's like, thank you for taking my mattress full of pee away because it really stinks and I don't want it. Thank you. And thanks for the free coffee and the sprinkled donuts for my little daughter. I appreciate that. We've done it before. We do eaves trough cleaning, like bungalows where I have a crew of guys that walk around and says, does your realtor clean out your eaves troughs? And they go out and they clean eaves troughs. I'm like, I can spend $1,000 a month, or I can come and add value to your life. And now that I see it the way it is, it's almost like I'm bridging the gap between sales guy and almost like friend. Like my mission in life is to give you hope. With my bus and everything else I do, my mission in life is to give you hope and to help you. And if I have to spend money on advertising, I would rather do it to benefit you than to put it in the landfill.
That's amazing.
And you can't lie about that, right? It's either there or not there. So it works well.
Yeah. Well, it's really, you created this unique lead generation machine, really, came from contribution, created a unique process, delivered what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it in the way you said you were going to do it. You exceeded their expectations, and I think you're not only building a big tribe of friends, I think you're really building a tribe of raving fans, right? They're like, call Ian.
It's so true, and the interesting thing about it is in a neighborhood that I work in a lot, there's a family that's in need, and they have some kids that are disabled, and it's not a good situation. And we went there and cleaned out all the garbage, and we did some renos, and this is just in me. This is just the way I am. We're doing this thing in my area where I'm launching a free reno, where we're looking for somebody that's in need, that desperately needs it, whether it's a bad situation, someone lost their job, there's an injury. And I'm going to donate all my commission and the reno money. And we're just going to give back, and we're just going to do it to help them. And I think that's important. I'm in a position where I have all these tools that I can do this, and it just fits my model of what I'm doing. And I'm really proud that I've been successful enough to be able to do that and to give back in the community and not expect anything in return. Just, you know what? Good people need breaks once in a while. I've had them, and I'm just grateful I'm able to give them.
It's so refreshing talking to you, Ian, because so many agents come from this whole scarcity mindset I'm not going to do anything until my client does something. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't sign a buyer agency agreement, I'm not going to show you a house. If you don't sign in at those stupid open house registries and show me your ID because I got to protect the seller's contents because the seller asked for it, like, A, that never happens, then I'm not going to do anything. And in an industry where you have all of those people, and guess what? They're also the people who are not doing the production.
Yep.
And because they're so scarce, they're like, oh, well, everyone's ripped me off in my life before, so I'm never going to do anything unless it's a sure thing. And to hear you talk that, I'm just going to show up in excellence as an expert, doing what I do, coming from contribution, giving back at a really high level. And I love what you just said there about now we're going to do it for a family in the neighborhood who really needs it because that's the right thing to do and it's what you believe in. And because you've helped so many people, isn't it funny how so many people help you back? And when you take care of in so many other people's needs and make them wealthy, how in turn they just reciprocate and make you wealthy. And then that gives you more abundance where you can now go back and help change some lives in your community. I mean, I think it's just awesome.
It's the best gift ever. Like, number one, believing that. For me, it took me a while to get, work on my confidence to be able to say, hey, I am the Reno guy. I am the guy that can show up in Adidas and the plaid shirt, and I can still get 8% when everyone else needs suits and Lexus to get them done. It was a lot to get over that, but it's even better. You hit the nail on the head where it's like, now that I've fully committed to that and actually go out and do it and have all these like soldiers that are saying Ian is doing this and Ian is doing that, and I'm really not doing anything I haven't normally done for the last 15 years. I've done it. I've The interesting thing is I've helped so many millionaires make more millions of dollars and investors and teaching them how to do it. I get more gratification helping the guy that wants to sell his house for $500,000 and make an extra 100 because I know they wouldn't get that anywhere else. And that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, and you're the difference maker. So, what are your plans? Would you ever, if there's people listening and they were like, Ian, I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I love your movement almost that you're creating, and I'd love to maybe bring this to my community in Ontario or something. Is that something you might be open to having a conversation about? Is that on your plan or your radar at all?
Yeah, I definitely be open to having a conversation about it. I think I'm at a point now where I'm not as control freak and hands on as I used to be. Now I'm able to be honest, I'm able to see that the gift that I have is controlling the actual product and not having to do every single thing of the transaction. So I'm definitely looking, in Toronto, and I've had some friends that have brokerages in Edmonton and Alberta. I've talked to them about it, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, how to structure it. But I love what I'm doing so much. I definitely want more people to know about it and to experience it.
Yeah. Well, I would tell you, the people on this call, first of all, I think I'd really, I don't usually plug things on this call, but I know you come from some massive contributions, so I'm happy to help you in any way. But they can probably start by getting your book, From Renos to Riches by Ian Szabo, and that's Ian Szabo, Szabo. And they could also probably, I think I've got your email here. I think it's Ian Szabo at ianzaboteam.ca. So IANSZABO at the Ian Szabo team, and I'll let everyone else spell that out who's listening to the call. And they could, reach out to you, and if you, like, this isn't like, hey, I want to come and copy all your systems. This is like, what I love what you do. I love the cause that you're doing, and maybe we could even partner and maybe change even more lives together. Because I just love what you're doing in this niche and this whole, just the whole way you've created it too. It's like, well, first of all, I was a chef, and then I kind of started doing renos, and then I failed all the time, but I got better at it, and I started doing more and more renos, and I was on, a lot of TV shows, and it's so interesting because a lot of the people who, our listeners will watch people on TV and they'll go, boy, they must be doing really well, and it's like, no, there's a little difference between becoming rich and famous, right?
Yeah,
You can be
no,
famous on that TV show, or you can be rich and do it yourself off the TV show.
it's so true. And I still get calls from production companies to do shows, and to be quite honest, I'm done with it because it has such a better impact on my own than the perceived value that's on TV. It's a great platform. It's just it's not for me.
Yeah, well, I think TV is also entertainment, right? It's okay. It's 22 minutes of entertainment. We'll add some commercials in there, and people twig, and then they go, "Oh, what's the next show coming on?" Or I'll go watch Netflix. Whereas I think what you're really doing is being that difference maker and just bringing your skills. You failed forward. You got better at it. You flipped a lot. You mastered it.
Yeah.
And then you said, you know what? My realtors aren't adding any value, so I'll go get my real estate license, and then I can combine both of those and create such a massive value package that when I was to say to one of my sellers, yeah, my commission's going to be 8%, and I'll pay 2.5 to the cooperating, they're like, yeah, sure, Ian, that's great.
Well, I think that the funniest thing for me is I'm not really good at studying, and I had two books, and I failed my real estate test so many times, like honestly, like 5-6 times. I'm just not good at it. And I remember being in class and I had tutors and I had everyone. I'm like, this is brutal. And my wife and my kids are like, oh, please pass your test. Daddy's miserable if he doesn't pass his test. And I remember the teacher saying, can you sign the book? I'm like, can you shut up? I don't want anyone to know I have any books. I can't even pass this test. Never mind. I'm not signing no books. Don't tell anybody. And they said, oh, can I get a book? Can I get a book? And I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't even pass my real estate test, right? Like, so it was so funny. Like I have these, two books that they want signed, and I can't even pass my test. And it's just kind of ironic.
That's so awesome. Well, Ian, you know what? Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you took time just to share this on my podcast series, and just kudos to you for what you're doing and just going out there and helping all these people at such a high level. And again, for the listeners, I don't want to keep plugging this, but a niche market is about finding what you're good at and bringing it to a market of people who want to do it, and creating a unique process so leads come to you and then deliver at such a high level that they become raving fans, and then you can like rinse, lather, and repeat. Like, to me, it seems really simple, and it seems like you're just nailing it right now, Ian. So.
I appreciate the call, and I love your podcast. Thank you.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon, Ian. Thanks again.
Thanks, Glenn. Take care.
Bye.